Hello YouTube, it's me Brittany, and today is National Coming Out Day, so we are gonna talk about coming out. We're gonna revisit my coming out story as well as, talk about just what coming out is about. But before I do that, I want to say thanks to every single one of you guys who have already subscribed. I love you guys so much. Thanks for being here every time. And for those of you guys who have not subscribed, please hit that subscribe button below. You can go back and watch my full 8-set version of my coming out journey. If you go back and hit subscribe, I did it about a year ago. You'll see a much fatter version of me. But anyways, you can't do that if you don't hit subscribe. Thanks so much for being here. Let's talk about coming out. First, it's a scary thing. It's terrifying. I took 30 years to fully come out. Like, if you go back and you do watch my 8-part series of my coming out journey, you'll know that coming out really is a journey for a lot of people. It's a growing experience until you realize this is what I should be doing. Why am I hiding myself? What is taking so long? However, there are many people who never get to that state. So that's why we kind of celebrate this day, but we also kind of keep in mind that there are people out there who just can't do it. They can't come out. So if you're one of those people, don't worry. I see you, even though you don't want to be seen, and you're valid. You're just as important as anybody else. And when you're ready, we're all here to say hello. But anyways, so, just take your time, make sure it's on your own time, what you can do, and to explain that, I'll just kind of revisit my 8-part series as quickly. We'll bust through as fast as we can, what I talked about last year in my coming out journey. I never came out as trans until I was 30 years old, and it was really difficult for me then, and we'll get to that, but it took me a while to really figure out who I was over the years. I spent a lot of time figuring out who I was, and it started really in high school, where I started to do powder puff cheerleading. I would be, I would play the female characters in the homecoming skits and things that we did for Spirit Week and things like that. I would always be ready to dress up. Even though I was a varsity wrestler, I just enjoyed getting a chance to dress up, and in high school I could always play it off as it's just school spirit, because I did powder puff cheerleading and those types of things. So but in my sophomore year of high school, I did come out as bisexual for about 5 minutes, and obviously that's a little dramatic. It was a little longer than that, and obviously after I come out, it's out of the bag, so there's obviously people in the school who never forgot, and obviously I had to deal with the repercussions of that, even though I did go back in the closet and refute myself for years upon years upon years. Being a varsity wrestler, when you come out and say you're bisexual, it becomes very difficult in your wrestling room to continue. And so I kind of had to go back in so that I can continue being a wrestler, which is, something that I enjoyed doing as a teenager and as a kid, growing up. It was just a sport that I competed in. It wasn't until I moved to New York City that I really kind of got to experiment with my sexuality as well as with gender expression, all those types of things. I graduated high school 18, moved to New York City, and just kind of was like a crazy 19-year-old in New York City for a good year and a half. And I did all types of crazy things, and you can go watch that video. There's a specific video about New York City, I know for a fact, because I did a lot of crazy stuff. But anyways, and then LA, and it just kind of expanded as I went to LA, and then in Las Vegas I started to do female impersonation stuff, and so that was really kind of the eye-opener for me, that I could actually be out in public and live this and be what now I start to call myself when living in Las Vegas is a cross-dresser. And there's nothing wrong with that. There is a difference, I believe, in being a cross-dresser and being a transgender woman. However, I do not think that they are out of the same field. So, we all kind of fall under the same kind of umbrella, but what I'm trying to get at is a crossdresser is just not exactly the same. However, I do believe that many crossdressers are just transgender women who can't come out. and they can only come out as cross-dressers at that time. Maybe someday they'll get to come out as trans and start hormones and all those types of things, but unfortunately in the position they are in, they may not have the knowledge, which was my case, which is why I was a cross-dresser for about 4 or 5 years before I ever started thinking about what being transgender was, because I didn't really know what transgender was, and all I knew was that I felt comfortable dressing up as a girl, even though that I could only do it maybe once or twice a month with some friends and going out. You know, that was satisfying enough for me at the time. But then it just kind of grew exponentially as I got older, and then started to really learn about what transgender was. So definitely, if you're a crossdresser and you're watching this right now, you are totally valid, and there's like, you can totally seek advice from trans women and all types. Like, there's nothing different from being a crossdresser from being a transgender woman, except for the fact that you have maybe not cracked your egg fully yet. You know, like, you're still valid in what you are and how you feel and how you express yourself. You know, because I was the same way, and a lot of what was made it hard for me as a crossdresser was that same invalidation that I would get from not just cisgender people, but from, you know, rest of the LGBT people, that I was just a man in a dress, when in reality, when I crossdressed, I never felt like a man in a dress. I felt like myself. You know, and then once I learned about transgender, you know, around 28, 29, when I was working for Disney, that's when I really started to be like, this is me. This is the real me. That's me. Like, I'm not a crossdresser. Like, cross-dressing was a phase maybe for me in order to get to being to who I really was, because once I learned all about being transgender, which for me at 28, which was really, you know, 10 years ago, so we're looking, you know, 2010, somewhere around that, that is when you know, transgender really started to become popular in the public and really started to get information out there. You know, Orange is the New Black had come out, Laverne Cox was becoming popular. So, like, a lot of that was really what helped me to educate myself and to be able to come out, because unfortunately, like, unlike the young people today who got so much an abundance of information, you know, and there's 15, 16, 17, and they're already understanding how to express their gender in different ways, and they're figuring and learning themselves out. Like, I didn't have that. Like, that was never an option for me. Like, I didn't really, even when I came out at 30, it was still really difficult. You know, I lived in a very rural part of Missouri. I still had a very conservative mother, a military father, you know, and there was a lot of aspects that were really scary when it came time to finally come out. But after I left Disney is when I realized that I can't really fucking hide anymore. Like, I have to be who I was, and it was extremely liberating. In some aspects, it was also very stressful. Like, I had to continually remind people, I'm not that person anymore. I'm not that person anymore. And it became very stressful. My first year, I dealt with a lot of anxiety because of passing. But now I've realized, like, passing doesn't fucking matter anymore. Like, now, yes, I pass a whole bunch, but when you're first transitioning, nobody cares. Like, the only person who cares about your passing ability is you. And that's fine. I understand that I had the same dysmorphia and dysphoria and all those things too. But just know that 95% of the people are watching you grow. That's it. They're watching you grow, and they're watching with wonder and excitement just for you. And it saddens them to see you hurt by the fact that you hate yourself so much. And I am just as guilty, because I am very much a self-loathing person of myself. So, like, I'm preaching to you, but I'm also in the same position where I'm preaching to myself right now. So like, just know it's a journey. It's a long journey, and it's a long process, but nobody's watching you with hate. The only people that are watching you as pristine as you think you are is you. And so once you start loving yourself, then you're gonna grow even faster. And that's what really happened for me. Was my first year and a half living in Missouri and transitioning was very difficult, because I was in an area where it was very difficult for me to love myself, because many people outside of me weren't loving me. And so I was letting that affect my own love for me. So what I did is I escaped that situation. I moved here to Colorado, and I have blossomed over the last 3.5 years into what you see today. Very confident in who I am and all those things, but I had to, sometimes you have to get yourself away from certain situations to make yourself healthy, and that's all part of transitioning and all part of coming out. So like when you come out, it's not one it is one moment. I'm here I am. But in reality, it's many moments built up into to before and after that precise moment of you coming out, of where you really kind of develop who you are. And I kind of rambled on this, but I hope you guys kind of really liked it and understood what I was trying to explain. I do have a comedy show coming up. If some of you guys are interested, you can go to tickets at flappers.com. I'll leave the website down here for you to buy tickets for the show next Saturday. I believe it's at 7:30. I don't know. You have to look at the website. But anyways, that's some comedy if you guys want to see some comedy from me. If you like this video, please don't forget to hit subscribe. Thanks so much for being here. I love you guys so much. You can all find me on Facebook at Brittany Rose, Insta at Brittany Rose, Twitter at Brittany Rose 2. If you want to play games with me at Green Eggs and Brit, I'm always available. Definitely hit me up, message me in the comments. I love every single one of you guys. Have a great day. Bye-bye.